just a couple of days left here in 2014 and getting ready for 2015. It's great to have you on the call or listening to the recording today. Our Office Hours program is a relaxed, informal mentoring program that I do every Monday at noon Pacific time. All the recordings and the slides and the exercises are archived in the members area. And then we also post the recordings free for everybody to take a look at my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Paul Hoyt. The reasons I do office hours is because I know being a successful entrepreneur can be a great experience, but I also know that it's really tough. You need the education, training, tools, and team in order to be successful. And I want you to get to know me, because when you get to know me, you'll know that I really do care about you. I want you to succeed in every area of your life, not just your business, but every area of your life. I want you to really find that greatness, that happiness, that divinity that we each have within us, and then remember it, embrace it, and live it every single day as I try to do. My vision is to help millions of CEOs and entrepreneurs accelerate their business growth and enjoy greater harmony and balance in their lives, and that's why I do this. Our office hours agenda is usually an in-depth discussion of a business success principle with some closing remarks, special offers, and invitation for next week's sessions. Today, however, it's all open questions and answers. And I'm grateful for those of you who have sent in your questions ahead of time. We do have a few questions that have been sent in ahead of time, because we're just doing all open Q&A today. I invite you to join us on a couple of different groups that we have online. The Brilliant Business Group on both Facebook and LinkedIn. On Facebook, you can find that by typing Brilliant Business Group into the search bar, or go directly to https://www.facebook.com/groups/Brilliant Business. We set up a small link because it's almost impossible to find this through a URL on LinkedIn. You can, of course, do a search for your Brilliant Business Group, or type in bit.ly/Brilliant Business Group and get there. I post the Energy of the Day message and the Business Success Principle of the Day postings to both of these groups, and you can also make comments, takeaway, or ask questions, share insights, and get group coaching from the other members in the group and specify what your takeaway is. And if you haven't done so already, I invite you to like my business page on Facebook. And today's topic is all open questions and answers. We're just going to do a group coaching session for as long as the questions keep coming my direction. As a reminder, one of the basic principles that I talk about for business is that you need to be good in every area of business, at least competent in every area of business, in order to even survive in business. And I talk about the key performance areas of leadership, sales, delivery, marketing, product development, operations, administration, and financial management. And one of the key messages I have is that leadership is the most important of all of the key performance areas, because it's in the area of leadership that you establish the vision for the business, the basic growth strategies for the business, you build your team, you create your business model, which has to be viable in order for you to be successful in your business. And the next two most important performance areas of business are sales and delivery. In fact, it was suggested to me that I should write a book called Sell and Deliver, which I may just do because, as you know, I love to write books. So if there's anything that I would preach to people, and I think preach is the right word, is you got to sell and you got to deliver over time. We have a lot of questions out there already, so I think I'm just going to jump right into the open questions and answers. If you have a subject that you would like to see me address on a future office hours presentation, you can go to paulsurvey.com or contact me directly at paul@paulhoyt.com, or to call or text me at 415-997-8001. If you're on the telephone today and not on the internet, where you're not able to see the presentation, you can also text a question if you like to 415-997-8001. That's 415-997-8001, and I'll see it, and we'll see if we can't feather it into the questions that we already have. So with that, I'm going to welcome you again to the call today. If you have a question that you would like to pose, you can hit, I think it's star 2 to raise your hand and star 6 to ask a question if you like. Or you can type it into the chat box if you are online, or there's a lot of different ways that you can to get the question to us as well. But we did have a few of them that came in via email before that we started the call today, so I thought I would begin with the questions that people either emailed, or I think Dr. Judy Cook had a question when we were chatting briefly before the session began today. Stephanie, can you help us out with some questions, please?
Absolutely. All right. One of the questions here that came in by email is about incorporating statewide versus national. When is the time to expand?
So generally speaking, any time that you form a business, it's a state-by-state issue. You can't form a national business. You have to incorporate or you have to establish your LLC in one state or the other. So typically, that is the state of your primary residence, unless there's a really good reason to incorporate in another state. And your CPAs and your business strategists and your attorneys will tell you if that's the case. So if you're going to raise a tremendous amount of capital, for example, the preferred state to do that in is a C corporation in Delaware. In some cases, we do C corporations in Wyoming. In some cases, we do them in Nevada, because each one of those states has particular benefits to the people who incorporate in that state. The reason why, by the way, that it's suggested that if you're raising a lot of capital that you form a Delaware C corporation is it's because it's most convenient for the investors, not particularly for you, but for the investors. Investors know what it means to invest in a company that is a Delaware C corporation, and many, many large companies are Delaware C corporations because of the case law that's out there and the benefit that it has towards the investors. So generally speaking, we incorporate state by state. And by the way, if you move, like I did from Colorado to California a few years ago, you have to make sure that you are either establishing yourself as what they call a foreign entity in the new state of residence where you're setting up offices, or actually shut down one business and create another one, create a new corporation or create a new LLC in your new state of residence if you don't want to have to do it that way. So generally speaking, incorporation or establishing an LLC, again, is state by state. There may have been an implied question in there about whether we just do business locally or whether we do business, nationwide to start off with. And generally, I'm a big fan of focusing your sales and marketing dollars in a small market segment. And typically that's locally. There is a tremendous amount of noise nationwide on the internet for people who are attempting to sell their products and services on a nationwide or even a global basis. So it takes more time and it costs more money to get yourself noticed on a nationwide basis than it does to get yourself noticed on a local basis. On a local basis, you can set up your own meetup group, go to local chambers of commerce, go to BNI or other networking organizations on a local basis for very little money, and very quickly, like in a matter of days or even hours, you can develop some local connections. If you go online and attempt to do the authority figure route, the celebrity expert route, it can take you a long time to establish any sort of nationwide presence where you're starting to get noticed by people who don't know you, who have not met you at some local event or some community like the CEO Space community that I'm involved with. So that may have been a bit of a long-winded answer to your question about incorporation and about whether they go nationwide or not. But generally speaking, if revenues are very important to you very quick, I'm a big fan of face-to-face connections because it takes less time to build trust and rapport and to move somebody into a sales process if you have a face-to-face connection than it does if you're attempting to generate leads via some online strategy or be noticed with some search engine optimization strategy. Stephanie, I think I'm going to go to the next question now, but I want to go to the question from Dr. Cook, who asked a question early on. I'm not sure if you captured that question. I can sift back into my memory and find it, but you may have captured that question too.
She was talking about the different, excuse me, she was talking about the different vendors, wasn't she, about finding the appropriate way,
yes,
the appropriate platforms and that you need for your products and services, etc.
She's talking about one of the dilemmas that entrepreneurs face, and this is true of those who are starting up and those who are expanding their businesses as well. One of the dilemmas is, what do you do first? Which service provider do you hire first? Because there are so many people out there who have high quality products and services, but you know, if you spent $10,000 with one and $10,000 with the next and $10,000 with the third and so on and so on, it's really easy to spend $10,000 with 10 or 15 different service providers, each one of them saying that, you know, they're exactly the right step for you going forward, and before you know it, you're out of money. Worst case is, and I've seen this happen to more than one person, is that they spend $10,000 with 3 or 4 people and don't end up where they wanted to go in the first place. That they find that none of the people that they were hiring had that general contractors or CEO's perspective. So here's the approach that I definitely recommend that you do. Number one is to figure out where you want to be in the next 90 to 180 days. Figure out what your short-term goals are and your mid-term goals are so that you can hire service providers that help you achieve those very specific objectives. If you don't have those clearly defined, or you don't have your growth strategy clearly defined, then the first person that I believe that you should hire is somebody who can help you figure out what that 90-day plan is and what that 6-month plan is and what that 1-year plan is, to help you put a framework around that. And it shouldn't take very long, and it shouldn't take very expensive to do that. I'll put in just a real quick plug for our products and services, because that's one of the things that I really focus on helping people address is, at a very low cost, you know, what are my goals and objectives for the next 90 days, or what is my goals and objectives for the next year or so, and help them put a framework around that and a budget around that so that you can make sure to hire people who will actually help you get the job done and help you achieve the goals and objectives that you have for yourself. In some of the speeches that I give, I oftentimes jump on my soapbox and say, the most important question in business is, who can I get on my team to help me form a great team? And that essentially is the question that you're asking. Now, how do I form that great team? Who is my first team? Who's that team that I need on my side for the next 3 months or for the next 6 months to help me achieve very specific business growth objectives? And I'll throw my hat into the ring as one of those people who really does have your best interest at heart, who is not interested at all in just being a piece of the puzzle, but rather helping you as a CEO or an entrepreneur complete the puzzle, to get into revenue as quickly as possible, to reach financial stability as quickly as possible. And so I certainly throw my hat in the ring to do that. But talk to people. Find out whether or not they have your long-term or short-term best interest at heart, or whether they're really just interested in selling you branding or strategy or marketing or product development or some other piece of the puzzle. You will need those pieces of the puzzle, but I think the most important question in all of business is, who can I get on my team to help me form a great team? I just realized I had my microphone on my head and I didn't need to do that. because I'm not speaking into the microphone. I'm speaking into a different microphone. So anyway, Stephanie, I hope that was helpful to you, Dr. Judy. And if there's other questions, please let me know what they are.
Okie dokie. The next one, this one is a fun one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Membership businesses versus small giveaways. For example, $10 per month for a membership business versus a $5 report kind of thing for one of those giveaways. Can you share your view, which is best?
You know, I don't know that there's a best. The strategy that I have chosen to employ in my business is that we give away a lot of things for free. I give away small training programs for free. I'm essentially giving away the people having the opportunity to view or listen to my office hours presentations for free. But I also have a membership area, because some of you on the call are, all are in the membership area. And I know there's people out there that are dialed in that are not watching online right now today. I may show a few things online, but today's basically an audio call. I chose to do both, and I chose to charge a small amount for my membership, which is more, the strategy for a small amount is you want to get people invested. You want to have them see a reminder, each month on their credit card bill that they have chosen to invest in themselves in this way by being a member of this program. It also gives them an opportunity to give back a little bit too. Sometimes I believe in buying books just to honor the author, and I suspect that some of you who are on the call today are members of my membership program because they want to honor the work that I do and the assistance and the support that I provide to CEOs and entrepreneurs. So I'm a big fan of building a community, of building a place where people can interact with you, and a place where people can go where they know they've got some special privileges because they have chosen to sign up for those, and they are a member of the membership program. So in our membership program, the people have special privileges that they don't have if they're not in the membership program. So in the office hours presentations that I do normally, not the Q&A call for today, but the normal office hours presentations, you have to be a member of my tribe in order to attend those meetings live and to get access to the slides and to get access to the exercises that come along with some of those office hours presentations, and to get access to my library. So I have my Paul Hoyt library, which has dozens of documents and templates and agreements and spreadsheets and things that I think can be most valuable to you that you can only get access to when you're a member of my tribe. So I'm a big believer in both of those strategies. The strategy, again, is we want to give some things away so that people get to know us a little bit better and see the value in the products and services that we provide. We ought to have a reasonably low-cost membership area where people can become a member to get access to other things and to become invested in the community a little bit and to form a sense of community of those who are members of the tribe. Because I think that that's a way to do that. And I think that that's the way that many entrepreneurs or many providers of information services do in their communities as well. And Stephanie, you may actually have some valuable input there too. Stephanie is a senior member of my team and has a lot of experience in creating information products and creating communities as well. Stephanie, do you have something to add there?
Yeah, do I have something to add? Yes, it's it really is unique to your business, and I would love to chat with you more. You can always email me at stephanie@paulhoyt.com, and we can schedule some time to chat about that. But the memberships in general are changing. The deliverables for membership programs are changing quite a bit. And the free giveaways, that whole arena is changing quite a bit also with all of the new, well, with everything that's available online. A lot of those rules have changed. So there's lots of easy ways to customize that based on what you have, and it actually is pretty fun. I mean, to me, that's pretty much your customized puzzle. all that content that you have and getting those puzzle pieces into place so that you can propel people through your funnel, that's pretty fun. So, yeah, there's a lot of new things that are going on out there.
Excellent. I think I want to shift a little bit. One of the other senior members of my team, Marcel Allen, is our social media strategist, had a question or two that she might ask with regards to her business that she has too. So Marcel, if you're on the call, I'll invite you to say hello and ask a question or two if you like.
Great, thank you so much. And yes, I do have a social media advertising business, which I've done fairly well this last year, but I want to be able to help more people. So I've kind of taken your office hours presentation on the blue ocean strategy and kind of flipped my business model upside down, which is kind of fun but kind of scary too. So I'm just looking for some real concrete business advice, because what I'm going to do is eliminate certain parts of my business model and then increase other parts. And so I don't know how deep we can get into it, but I'm really excited to apply what I've learned. And I guess my biggest question is, one is, how do I shift it, right? Because it's not an overnight switch. It's going to be a phase. I'm going to phase out of what I'm doing and into, basically I'm calling it the Remarkable Room. It's a new product I'm creating, which will have social media advice and wisdom and services and basically questions for people who want to increase their online fame, their online visibility, their online product sales, that type of thing. So it's called the Remarkable Room. So it's helping businesses find and showcase what's remarkable about them. And it's just a big shift. And so I think I need encouragement on, one, doing the blue ocean strategy, but also at what pace do I go? Because I can't do it all at once.
That's a great question. If you're online, you'll see I pulled up a slide from a presentation that I did on the blue ocean strategy a while back that talks about the 4 actions framework from that, which essentially the gist of the blue ocean strategy is that we want to find a window of opportunity in a marketplace, a hole in the marketplace where we don't see a lot of people playing, a way to significantly add value to our customers in a way that's not competitive, or where we're seen as like the only person who can do what it is that we're doing. And so the 4 questions that they suggest that you ask yourself is, what are we going to create? What are we going to do that nobody else has ever done before? What are we going to raise? In other words, what are we going to do better than or more of than anybody else is doing? What are we going to eliminate? What are we not going to do that everybody else is doing? And what are we going to reduce? What are we going to do less of than everybody else is doing? So those are 4 great questions in order to find that window of opportunity in the marketplace and begin the process of differentiating yourself from other people who are playing in different marketplaces. So one of the things that I really am just thrilled about with Marcel is that she really listens to these office hours presentations. In our calls when we have with each other, she says, wow, I listened to your blue ocean strategy presentation a couple of times, and I've listened to all of the other 56 or 58 office hours presentations at least once. I mean, it has an insatiable appetite for learning what she needs to learn in order to make her life as a CEO and an entrepreneur that much more successful, that much more pleasant and easy for her. So first of all, I admire that. Anybody that has that appetite for learning as I do. And then she seeks to apply it for her own business, such as the Blue Ocean strategy, applying that whenever she's creating her 2015 growth plans. But the question specifically was, how do I get from point A to point B? And how do I phase things in? And of course, we have a lot of different options about what we do. But I'm a huge fan of a 90-day growth plan, of taking this annual goal that you have for 2015. Imagine to yourself where you want to be, in December 2015 or on January 1st, 2016, and then back into that and figure out, where do I need to be at the end of the third quarter? Where do I need to be at the end of the second quarter? and where do I need to be at the end of the first quarter in order to have made significant progress on achieving my goal for 2015. And then once you kind of have your quarterly objectives, then with the concept of a 90-day growth plan, we back that into where we want to be at the end of the first month and the end of the second month, and then we begin really focusing on accelerating the velocity of our growth and accelerating the velocity of the profits. A new program and system I'm calling the Profit Velocity System helps us define those individual tasks and those most important goals for the next 30 days, and then focus all of our time and attention on those, in weekly status meetings and with the rest of our team, making sure that we're getting the job done. So, as I oftentimes say, that planning is, having a great idea is 1% of the solution, having a great plan is about 2% of the solution, and getting the job done, rolling up your sleeves, picking up the shovel, picking up the hammer, weighing in the nail, digging the ditch, putting your fingers on the keyboard is what it's all about. Maintaining focus is really important for entrepreneurs, and the way that we maintain focus is that we very specifically set out our goals and objectives, set out the tasks necessary to achieve those goals and objectives, and then rally a team around us who will ask us how we were doing on that and help us be accountable to the things that we've committed on doing. So I guess I gave you got a lot of ideas there. Let me see if I can recap them here for a little bit. Number one is set your annual goals and objectives, and then back into where we want to be at the end of the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter that will help us meet those goals. Second one is to have a 90-day growth plan, so we know what we want to do in the next 90 days in month 1, month 2, and month 3. And third is to have a mechanism and have teammates around us that will hold us accountable to the commitments that we make to ourselves and help us focus to make sure that we're putting those pieces of the puzzle in place. How to put those into place and which to do first, that is really a question for you and your strategist to sit down and focus on that and figure out which things need to really be done first or which things will return the most value to you. Whenever I sequence out the tasks on a company's project plan, their strategic plan for growing their business, those are some of the most important questions we ask. Is number one, which ones of these tasks will return the most value the quickest, because that is the low-hanging fruit and that's where we want to put our time and money in. And the second question, and oftentimes a balancing question, is which ones do I really need to do first in order to get the most long-term value? For example, we could go out and immediately start selling our products and services, or we could invest a little more time in branding and in marketing material and a website development in order to make the sale of those products and services a little bit easier to do. Which is right for you depends entirely where you are in your business. If you have a critical cash flow need and you really have to get cash in the door right now, you don't have time to wait and delay to improve your branding or your marketing or your websites. You need to start knocking on doors and having sales conversations with people right now today and sell what you have. On the other hand, if you have the time and the resources to play a little more patient game, then maybe the thing that's right for you is to invest a little bit more in branding and product development before you begin those sales conversations with other people. So it really is situationally dependent, but I think those principles can help you. Long-term plan, cascade it into short-term plans, and then ask yourself the great questions of what do I really need to do next and first based upon where I am today and the resources that I have at my disposal. Hopefully that was helpful to you, Marcel.
Yes, very much. Thank you, Paul.
You're very welcome. Stephanie, do we have another question?
Yes. Get back there. Using WordPress for membership sites versus free, I'm thinking is what this says. You get what you pay for. What are your recommendations for membership sites?
I'm not sure. Do you think the question is what technology should we use to manage a membership site?
Yes, I'm sorry. You're right. And also for videos and podcasts and blogs.
You know, I can tell you the decisions that I've
Software.
made, and in some cases I can tell you, the other options that I considered as well. My back end is Infusionsoft, which is the Cadillac, of all membership sites and shopping carts and CRM systems all embedded into one. I chose that because I eventually would love to have, a database of 100,000 people, and I'd eventually love to have a very, very rich and sophisticated membership site and membership area and lots of people doing the CRM thing. And most large companies or people like me who are trainers and educators and consultants and coaches who have very large presence use Infusionsoft. I chose it for that reason, and I also chose it because one of the marketing people that I had hired last year was an expert in Infusionsoft and said, hey, not only can I help you with your branding and your collateral and your messaging and all that stuff, but I can help you implement Infusionsoft. And so I chose that one as an Infusionsoft. And because I chose that, I chose iMember 360 as being the interface in between my WordPress membership sites and the Infusionsoft backend. So all of that costs a bit of money. It costs, several $100s a month in order to maintain the Infusionsoft membership site, the CRM system, shopping cart system that I have, and the iMember 360 system that I have in order to basically access the membership information which is embedded in Infusionsoft and allow access to particular pages and files in my WordPress backend in order to make that all happen. That may not be the right choice for you. It was the right choice for me because of where I want to go and because of the expertise that I had available to me at the time of implementation. Just a word of note here is that the whole concept of total cost of ownership is really important here, because no matter what technology platform that you choose, there's always the upfront costs, which can be the costs for the software and also the costs for installing the software, and the ongoing costs, which are the costs, the monthly costs or the annual maintenance costs, and the cost of your own team and resources when it comes to beginning to use that. So the decisions that I made were not inexpensive at all, either in the upfront cost or in the ongoing cost. What might be right for you are less expensive systems, both for the installation and the upfront cost and for the ongoing cost. Those are all pretty important questions to ask when it comes to figuring out what your technology stack is, what's just right for you. And just as a shameless plug, if I may, because we have those systems in our back end or using in our business, we oftentimes help our clients as well implement their Infusionsoft programs and their campaigns and their branding and all that stuff too. So if you're in the market for that, we'd love to throw our hat in the ring and talk to you about how we may be able to assist you with those aspects of your business. And speaking of the things that we do, I do want to take just a little bit of time. We're in the middle of our phone call here, so I'm going to back up just a couple of slides, as I normally do after the presentation, and talk a little bit on who we are and what we do. One of the things that set us apart from other people are that we really do focus on the whole person, and we really don't want a lot of your money. I want you to spend an appropriate amount on the support that you need, but I only want you to spend money on getting the support that you really want, the support that you need, the support that you can use right now that'll make a big difference in your business, and the support that you can afford. I also want you to learn to swim before you jump into the deep end, unless you're already in the deep end, and then I want you to get the appropriate training that you need. That's why I have my Beyond Business Survival CEO training program, because I know that belief and persistence are not enough to guarantee your success. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs out there bang their head against the wall because they didn't have a viable business model. They didn't have something that was really going to work for them, and they gave themselves very little chance at massive success. And that's why we offer education, coaching, training, and consulting as part of our services, along with our growth management services, which is a do-it-with-you service. We offer a variety of services, some of them which are train you so that you can do it yourself, and other ones which are hold your hand and do it with you. And then in some cases, we also do it for you services in some of the consulting programs that we have and in some of the growth management programs that we have too. We act as your project managers and as your project coordinators. Our next office hours presentation, by the way, will be on January 5th, 1 week from today. I haven't chosen the topic yet, but I'm getting centered in. One of the things I love to do is talk about great business books that I read. So I suspect that I'll pick another great business books that I've already read or read a new one, and then share with you the most important concepts and principles from that. If you would like for me to address something on a future office hours presentation that's particularly helpful to your business, go to paulsurvey.com and fill that out. Do your homework in the meantime, and with that brief commercial interruption in the middle, we'll come back to our open questions and answers. Stephanie, do you have other open questions and answers for today's call?
Yep. There's a question here. Who are the necessary people needed for your team, the bare bones foundational team first, and then later, as your business grows, an expanded team?
You know, one of the things that you touched on, which is real important and very astute, is that your team does change over time. So you have your initial team, and then as you expand your business, you also expand your team, bringing in additional skill sets and additional bandwidth or capability to get the job done. So generally speaking, the first two people that I see people bringing onto their team is, number one, is an overall CEO coach, somebody that can take the perspective of the CEO and help you define your goals and objectives for like the next 90 days or the next 6 months, help you put together a plan to achieve those goals and objectives, and then coach you through facing the challenges that you face to help you overcome obstacles, to solve problems, to address the issues along the way as a coach. So one of those roles is as a consultant to help you determine what your goals and objectives are and help you develop a plan to achieve those. And the second role is the role of a coach who can help you when you come up with, you know, little hiccups and challenges and issues that are bound to happen along the way. That person, or generally speaking, I think it's better to have just one person, you know, can be a very reasonable expense to you. Can be, you know, $1,000 to start and a few $100s a month, or it can be a lot more. There are people out there that offer, you know, $10,000, $20,000 coaching packages, and I do that. I just don't think it's, you know, appropriate for most small businesses to start out by writing great big checks to anybody, to myself or anybody else. So I'm a big fan of having that coach consultant as one of the first two people on your team. The second person that people usually get on their team is somebody to take care of the little stuff, of a virtual administrative assistant or an on-site administrative assistant who can do things like travel arrangements and take things to the mailbox and you know, return phone calls and help you out in a lot of different ways to take care of the low value activities that every CEO and entrepreneur has, to free up your time so that you can be focused on higher value activities like selling and delivering your products and services. So as you'll hear me preach a lot, you know, the early stages of a business is all about sales and all about delivery. You have to sell and you have to deliver, and there's a lot of other things that need to get done, but those are things that you can outsource. Those are things that you can delegate to a virtual assistant in your case. I would say, though, first of all, before you do any of that stuff, the first thing to do is really define what it is that you are trying to do with your business. I have a little product I call a business clarity questionnaire. We have a system, a new giveaway that we got via called the Business Growth Acceleration Kit that you can get to at hoytgroup.com/CEO bonus. That's hoytgroup.com/CEO bonus that has some training materials in there, some examples of my inspirational writing, and comes with a free 30-minute consultation from one of our senior consultants to help you figure out what are the really good steps for you. One of my favorite quotes is that prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So that means if I tell you what's right for you without really understanding where you are in your business, where do you want to go, what progress you've made so far, what resources you have at your disposal, I think that's consulting malpractice. I think we need to ask a lot of questions that are very specific to you and your business in order to understand how we can best support you. And I think that's right for anybody out there. If your potential service provider is not asking you a lot of questions to understand where you are, how quickly you want to get to where you want to go, and what resources you have at your disposal, then they're really not looking out for your best interests. They're just trying to sell you their product or service. There's nothing wrong with that. Caveat emptor is the name of the game when you're a CEO and entrepreneur. But you really got to figure out for yourself whether this person is focusing on your best term interest or if they're just doing their job by selling you their product or service. That was a bit of a long-winded response, but I get it really kind of bothers me when I see somebody go out into business and they don't know what they're doing and they haven't gotten education and training, and the first people that they get on their team are not people who have their best interest at heart, but who are rather doing the job that most people do, which is selling and delivering their products and services. And then I see them, I know I can count at least a full 5 fingers worth on one hand of the people that I have seen spend $40, $50, $60, $80,000, $10,000 here, $10,000 there, $20,000 there, and find out that they're 6 months into their business, totally out of money, and they're not in revenue yet. So, my focus, my promise to every person that I work with is I won't let that happen. Won't let that happen to you. Is that I'm really, really focused on helping people make great decisions when they start their business so that they can get into revenue as quickly as possible and reach financial stability as quickly as possible. And that means being very prudent and frugal with the monies that you have. So thank you for that question. Next question.
All right. As entrepreneurs, we get opportunities on our lap every single day. How do we determine if they are good ones or not, and if they are the right ones for where we are?
There's a couple of ways of addressing that. Pardon me for just a second while I clear my throat here. So I'm going to address that in a couple of ways. Number one way is opportunity management. I talk about the 4 most important areas of operations management. The focus for a COO of your company, your Chief Operations Officer, are project management, operations management, change management, and opportunity management. And I've done office hours presentations on project management, on all of those subjects, I guess. But specifically, I'll talk about opportunity management now. So opportunity management is seeing when an opportunity comes in the door, understanding whether or not it's an opportunity that you want to address, and most specifically, is it an opportunity that you want to address right now today? Is it something that's so valuable and so urgent that it means that you take all of your other projects that you've got on your plate and set them aside in some way to manage this existing opportunity? Back when we used to read a lot of newspapers, there was always the favorite line that said, "Hold the presses." There's some exciting news that just came in. We have to change the headline. We have to change the article that's on page 1 of our newspaper because of this exciting new news that came in. Because, it's today's news instead of like news that came in 6 or 8 hours ago. So that's always an interesting question is this next creative idea that I just had or this phone call that I just got sufficient enough for me to put all my other projects on hold and focus sufficient time and energy to take advantage of this opportunity? And of course, that's on an individual case-by-case basis. In some cases, that's the absolute right thing to do. If I just got a phone call and somebody said, you know, Paul, I want you to do something with me, and it's going to pay you and your family millions and millions of dollars, and I'm ready to hire you right now, and your beginning salary is going to be $500,000 a year, and oh, by the way, I'll pay you a $250,000 upfront bonus, but you need to drop everything that you're doing and come to work for me right now. I'm going to listen to that phone call. So if any of you out there are listening to this recording and you have that sort of an opportunity for me, you know, please give me a call because I will listen to you. I guess everybody has their price. But if it's an opportunity to, say, work on a collaborative work with another person or pursue some sort of a product development opportunity, well, my plate's pretty full of those right now. I've got several different products that I am working on bringing out. If you've got a new idea for a product, most likely the right thing for me to do is to take that idea, to thank you kindly for that idea, and put that, you know, in the parking lot, to put that on my list of things that I'm going to address at the next time I look for new product opportunities, which, by the way, I think should be about quarterly. Every quarter or so, every 90 days, I think it's important for you to do that replanning, to take a look at the products and the services that you have and all the projects that you've got and see whether or not you want to continue those or whether or not it's time to pull something off of the list, out of the parking lot, and begin to focus on that. That's what opportunity management is all about. So first question is, you know, is this a stop the presses kind of an opportunity, or is this one that I can put into the parking lot and address the next time I'm looking for a new project or a new product to focus on for, you know, for the next several weeks or the next several months? That's the first one. When you are evaluating multiple products that are on your plate, I recommend using a product that I've got that's in my library, by the way. For those of you who are members of the Paul Hoyt tribe, you can access this, and it's called the Decision Matrix. And that Decision Matrix then helps you figure out which ones of these opportunities that you have that may be most beneficial for you based upon the decision criteria that you set, the ratings or the relative weight of those decision criteria, and the ratings of each one of those criteria in each one of the opportunities. I don't have that up for me right now today, but I will be happy to. If you're a member of my tribe, you can get the Decision Matrix. It's in the library, and if you need any assistance with that, be sure to give us a call. We'll be happy to talk to you about that for a few minutes, or, you know, have a 1 or 2 hour consulting engagement with you to actually help you complete your own Decision Matrix. Again, in the Decision Matrix, we decide what's important to us. Is it short-term cash flow or long-term cash flow? Is it okay to travel, or is travel not important for us? Is this, you know, is it important that it's consistent with our long-term brand, or are we open to changing our long-term brand? And evaluating each one of the opportunities on our plate according to the decision criteria that we set and the relative weight of those decision criteria, and using a product like a Decision Matrix will help you figure out which ones of those are the strongest for you based upon the criteria that you set for yourself and the ratings that you give those opportunities. It really helps kind of pull this stuff out of your mind and put it down in writing so that you can see it in black and white and you can make a great decision for yourself. I notice in our question window here is that one of the people asked about the homework. The slide that you saw that said do your homework was left over from a previous presentation. We're not going to have any homework so far this presentation, but usually on the office hours presentations that we do, we make very specific recommendations as the things that you can do this next week to apply the concepts and principles of that particular presentation in your business, and we offer, next action steps for you to do your homework, so to speak. So that's what that was all about. It was a little leftover slide from the ones that I had created. Thanks for asking that question. Stephanie, we have 12:55. I think we got time for another question or two before the top of the hour.
One more?
One more.
Okay. This one is actually for me.
Okay.
I was franchising that business for 4 years, and I lost so much because I missed so many of the warning signs that the business was just not viable with the business model that I had. So I'm wondering if you can help us. What are some of those warning signs, or how can we avoid it to begin with? How can we figure out if our business idea that we think is so dang spiffy might not be so spiffy after all?
Well, thanks for asking that question. I remember working with you several years ago when you were first working on that. So I think the number one thing to avoid working on a business for years only to find out that it wasn't a viable business model or just wasn't going to work. The number one thing is to think it through, to develop a strategy and develop financial projections for the business. I have developed financial projections for, I think, 150 different businesses over the last 13 years as a small business consultant. And we always find something surprising. Every single time we find something surprising about the profit model, about the business model, that causes us to change our direction a little bit. In some cases, we see, we had thought to bring 4 or 5 products to market in a specific sequence, but when we did the analysis, we found that the third product that was on the list really ought to be the first product on the list, because it was a product that we could bring to market very quickly at very little expense, and it was going to give us a nice cash flow and really reduced the overall cash flow requirements for growing that business. That's one of the nice surprises that you can find whenever you do a financial projection or financial model. You can also find some bad surprises, like this dog won't hunt, that no matter how much time and energy we put into it, we're never going to make enough money in order for us to create a viable business. That happens a lot when people have a business that's low margin and they think they're going to make it up on volume. Oftentimes happen is you can't build up the volume quick enough to compensate for the low margin of a business. That's why we always try to have, a 50% gross margin or more with the products and services that we provide, so that we have enough money to pay for the operating overhead and to have money left over so that we can continue to fund the growth of the business. Sometimes you don't figure that out until you develop the financial projection and ask the tough questions about how much is it really going to cost you to deliver this product and service, and how much is your overhead really for the business. So that's answer number one. That's answer number one about how we avoid the mistakes in the first place, is think it through. Get a great coach, consultant on your team who can help you think it through and develop the financial projections so you get a true picture of what this business is that you intend to create. The second one is all around the principles of the lean startup methodology and nail it, then scale it. A couple of the office hours presentations that I did, one of them was on the lean startup methodology. I'm not sure what the number was for that, but you can look them up online. And I did another one on a book called Nail It, Then Scale It, which basically both of those books said the same thing in slightly different ways, which was engage with the marketplace as quickly as you can to learn the lessons that only the marketplace can teach you, and then change your plans based upon the feedback from the marketplace. So for some cases, that's just doing a survey, getting out and talking to 50 or 60 people in your target market and asking them what it is that they really want. The lean startup methodology strongly recommends that you get out of the office and talk to 100 people who you think are in your target market in order to find out what they think of your product and service ideas, and to find out what they're really willing to pay for it, and most importantly, to find out whether or not they're really your target market. What oftentimes happens is that when we get out and talk to the people who we think are in our market, we find out that they're not really our market, but they will lead us to our market by the advice and counsel that they give us and the questions that they ask us in return, so that we can find our true target market and then adjust our products and services to meet the true and known demands of the clients that are in that target market, and then we can build a quality business. So, in summary, I guess if I were to summarize that, it's number one, think it through, and number two is listen to the marketplace. Those are the ways that you do the best job you can of avoiding mistakes and finding a viable business that works. And I will say, by the way, that not every business model is viable under any circumstances. Sometimes we find out that the market just doesn't want the product or service that we hoped that the marketplace will want. The idea is that if we're going to fail, we want to fail fast, and we want to fail with the least amount of expense so that we can move on to the next great idea and find something that really is going to work. So if idea A is not going to work, we move on to idea B just as quickly as possible. If that's not going to work, we move on to idea C as quickly as possible with least expense as possible, so that we can find that business that's just right for us, so that we can have a profitable and viable business going forward. It's at the top of the hour, so I think I'm going to call it good for today. This was our first just open questions and answers group coaching session. It was suggested to me by Marcel that we might do this. Thank you very much, Marcel. And we may do this as the fourth or the last office hours presentation each month. If you liked this format, whether you're listening to it live or you're listening to the recording, please send us an email and let me know that you did like it, and we may add this to our bag of tricks and do a group coaching session on at least one of the office hours calls every single week. I know that I enjoy it. I enjoy the Q&A portion to our regular office hours presentations, and I certainly enjoyed the questions that we had today. I know that we didn't get to a lot of the questions. If you sent us emails or sent us texts or typed into the chat box a question that we didn't get to, we'll try to get back to you in some way and help you out with those questions here in the next several days or so. Since this is the last office hours of the year, I would like to conclude and come to completion by saying thanks so much for attending these office hours presentations in 2014. We're focused on delivering significant value to you and helping CEOs and entrepreneurs all over the country be more successful in 2015. If there's anything that we can do to help you, please reach out and say hello to us. We'd be glad to have that conversation. And until we meet again, this is Paul Hoyt wishing you a happy new year and a most marvelous and prosperous day. Bye-bye.